Hello and welcome to the next hype train from the April 17th rollout of the new Ultimate Descendant Blair, and also some of the things that are happening May and onward from there into our Season 3 expectations. So we're going to touch on what the devs talked about very quickly, obviously without the Korean side of things, so we can get a little bit quicker move through the event and talk about what they discussed. We'll pull everything up here. You know, the discussion focused on, as I mentioned before, the April 17th update, which is going to come out with Ultimate Blair. It's going to have a Blair story, the Ultimate Blair itself, new component, a new Void Erosion Purge, new systems in place that are coming out for development of our characters, quality of life improvement, new player experience, I would say, photo mode and how that works, April skins, and then upcoming events. In addition to that, we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in May, which I think are pretty exciting, and then general announcements as we move forward. So that is the content. I'm not going to get into the question and answers part of the session, and we will roll some video footage from time to time on what actually happened as we were going through the gameplay, just so you have a clear understanding of that, and I can show you some of what was occurring during the event. Okay, so let's jump on in here and we'll talk in general before I start on the list of items there, because the first thing they did was really talk a bit about the balancing that they've done, and they were very apologetic about having to nerf Inez, but they didn't say they were going to take that nerf back. I think a lot of people want them to, but I think the nerf was appropriate. I've talked about it in other videos already, so I'm not going to delve into it too much here. But certainly, I think the balancing that they've done has made a lot of characters relevant, and I'm very excited about that. And I think that if they continue to do so, it's going to be exciting. They did talk about the fact that they are planning to continue to do some balancing, and that some of that balancing is going to require changes to kit. So if we think about characters like Luna or J-Bear or Kyle, there may be some kit adjustments that have to happen in order for them to become as relevant as some of the other characters. So this is exciting. I think this is the direction they need to take. I know some people are going to be, mixed on it. Some people will be happy, some people will be sad, whatever. But I think if we look at what they're trying to do, it is pretty good. They are trying to make it where all the characters can be played equally. And I think this is an important step for the game's progression in the long run. We're looking forward to seeing what happens with that, and I think we'll take it from there, and we'll go ahead and jump on into this content. So the first thing we talk about here is the Blair and the story, and I don't know if they were sound like they were almost apologetic that Blair's story is going to be different, but I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be comedic. I think there's going to be quite a bit of comedy and romance, and some different funny play styles in there. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of it. I'm looking forward to that story. I like to hear a bit more about what's going on with the characters and see how the Descendants evolved in their own right. And so this is going to be interesting. Ultimate Blair is going to be a very exciting addition to the game. I'm going to roll real quickly here a segment of the Ultimate Blair release video and just play that for you, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so let's dive on in here and talk a bit more about Ultimate Blair. After we talk about each of his new Transcendent mods, we will play a little video of those Transcendent mods in action, and then we will talk about the next one. So there's two new Transcendent mods coming to the game. Killer Recipe is one of them, and then Next Level Arson. So we'll jump off here. We'll first talk about Killer Recipe. Killer Recipe changes his kit considerably. It changes 3 of his abilities as well as the passive. So the only thing it doesn't change is his third ability. His flamethrower, if you will, remains the same. Otherwise, we will see pretty massive changes in how the kit works, right? The first ability and the second ability and the fourth ability will change, as well as the passive. The passive gets the Feast of Flavors. This is the burn change, and it gives a big boost to his critical hit rate and his critical hit damage. So this is a nice addition to it. You can see the numbers there. In addition to that, we are getting some additional torch effects, so damage effects. So we'll show that there as well. It's a very exciting addition to his kit. Let's go over and talk about the individual skills themselves. His first skill changes to Spicy Meatball, and Spicy Meatball allows us to, fire off, instead of putting flame zones on the ground, we're able to fire off an ability that shoots these spicy meatballs at all the enemies, and it's essentially spitting them out in a very rapid fire succession and damaging those enemies. So it's a pretty exciting addition to his kit, and we'll show some video footage of that here as we're talking about it. I think it's going to be massively destructive and fun to play with. It is going to change his kit a lot, because this would be normally where you're throwing down flame zones and creating an area of effect damage. Instead, we're firing off at these enemies, and you can see they've done some boost to their cooldown there. They've got their cooldown down to 8.1 seconds, so you'll be able to fire this off fairly frequently. I don't know what their mods look like at this time, but it started off at 40 seconds, so you can get an idea of where that's going. From there, we'll talk about what they're doing with the second ability. So temperature check is essentially replacing pulling back the flame zones and getting your power back that way, getting your MP back that way. You'll still be able to recover your MP, but this time you're doing it through a temperature check. So essentially, if you've used a skill, it recovers the MP proportional to the amount of damage that you did, or the amount of effect that you did on those other skills. So this is going to be essentially doing the same thing that our second ability does on the other side of the kit. And then our fourth ability changes to Deadly Feast, and Deadly Feast allows us to, as you can see from the gameplay that I'm rolling now, allows you to aim at certain enemies, and then once you've aimed at all of them, then you select it again and it will damage those enemies. So this is an interesting addition to the kit. It's going to change his playstyle quite a bit, so we'll have to see how it plays out, but it looks fun, and certainly a different style of play and a different challenge for him. So I think overall this is going to be nice. Now these, as you notice, these are all dimension skills with the exception of the MP recovery one, which is singular. So we can stay with what, if we have a dimension reactor that we've been using for him, we can keep with that. That's going to be still effective in this particular kit. And that's true of his other Transcendent mod, Next Level Arson as well. So he's going to be primarily a dimension fire Descendant as far as the damage is concerned, and that's good. I'm glad that they stuck with that. Let's go ahead and talk about Next Level Arson a bit. Next Level Arson changes both his first ability, which we're showing here now, and his third ability. Okay, so it changes those two. Let's talk about what happens there. The first ability changes to Merciless Arson. Grant Keen Palette to self. Moving while Keen Palette is active creates flame zones at certain intervals. Enemies that step on the flame zone take damage and are inflicted with the burn. So think about Valby and her, gliding on water type of situation. It's not exactly that way. Obviously, it's not picking up your movement speed and having you slide around, but essentially the same thing's happening. While you're walking, you're laying down flame zone, and that's much more efficient than having to pop your ability all the time and in different spots to put the flame zone where you want it to be. This is going to basically follow you and give that flame zone into those areas where you're walking. So you'll still be able to recover those flame zones the same way you did without this mod. So that's not going to change. Your second ability doesn't change. So this is I think a good step with this kit, because I always hate having to kind of constantly pop the ability to create those flame zones under where I'm standing. This is going to make it where you pop it, and while you're running, you're creating the flame zone. So good addition to the game, I think. The next one is Hot Delivery. Again, this is with Next Level Arson. Hot Delivery changes his third ability, the flamethrower that has the range, crazy range on it. This is going to shorten the range but widen the spread. So we're going to be able to spray more fire in front of us and damage more enemies in front of us, rather than, focusing on one enemy at a time, or, shooting the flames way out in the distance. So I think for 400% content, Next Level Arson is going to become a very positive part of his kit. Certainly when you're mobbing, I think this is going to be a good mobbing kit for him. So this Transcendent mod is going to get some testing on my side. I'm really looking forward to giving it a shot. Now with each ultimate, we get an ultimate skin, and that's no different for Blair. Blair is getting Devil Hot Pepper. It's a very interesting skin. Looks a bit like a Lepic skin, if you ask me, but I'm certainly interested in seeing how these talons look in real life. You can look at his feet and his hands there. He's got some talons, and it'll be interesting to see how this looks in play. But we're getting this skin along with some others as we move forward in the game here. The other thing that we're getting as this new content rolls out is some new component sets, and these component sets are pretty interesting. I think the diversity that we're getting in the component sets is nice. It allows us to mix it up. We can do with a couple of two sets, as I was talking with NJ earlier, he really likes stacking 2-set bonuses and not necessarily going all in on a 4-set bonus. But I think you'll be able to do both, and this is going to be fun and exciting. So let's talk about some of these. There's 5 new ones. Let's talk about what they are. The first one is Shell Crusher. Shell Crusher is going to give us an increased fire rate, but it's also going to help us get rid of those anti-RK shields. All right, so that's the Shell Crusher part of it, right? Where it's allow us to replace our Voltia with something that's going to give us anti-RK shield destruction for our weapons, and this is nice, right? So whenever we're attacking the anti-void shields, we get a skill power damage increase and a boost against the shields there. So that's going to be nice to see. Now it's not clear if that's weapon based or skill based, but regardless, it's something that's going to allow us to crack those shields without having the Voltia in our hands. I think that's nice. Gives us some more options. So let's move on to the next one, which is the Firebrand component set. The Firebrand component set, we are getting a boost to skill effect range. So you think about the extra range that we might get with Blair. We're also getting movement speed slight decrease, -5%, but we're all on top of that, we're getting a fire attack against an enemy inflicted with burn related effects. The hit enemy's fire resistance will drop by 30% for 10 seconds. So this is going to let Blair not only have a wider range, but also a stronger impact on the enemies by as much as 30% extra damage. So that's pretty exciting from that standpoint. So I think this is going to work well for Blair and Lepic and any of the other fire descendants like Serena. The next set is called the Plague set. And this is, obviously Plague, toxic is the theme here. We're going for additional tech power and a singular power plus 5%. And then in addition to that, we're getting a boost to our, a hit to our shields, -24% hit to our shield. But our toxic power is going up, our toxic skill power is going up to plus 36.8%. On acquiring a custom resource, our toxic skill power will have a modifier of plus 21.6%. So the fact that they're talking about custom resource here, I'm thinking about Keelan. Is this a good kit for Keelan? Because now Keelan is zooming through 400% content like crazy. I mean, he's outrunning Bunny. He's pulling us all forward. So this is going to give him a little bit of a hit to his shields, but then he's going to get more power, and then he's going to be, getting some additional toxic power on top of that. So I think this is going to be interesting to see and see how it plays out in his kit. Keep our eye out on that. The next one is Enlightened. This is a Enlightened Mage. So we're getting a boost to skill power of plus 6%. Firearm ATK is taking a hit of -12%. But then if we're using non-attribute skills, we're getting big bonuses, right? Now, obviously, it's got to be a skill build. So not an endless ammo build on Glaive, but if you're using Glaive for mobbing, or let's say you're using Valby or one of the other descendants that's non-attribute, then you're going to get some bonuses here. When using a non-attribute skill, it grants 1 stack of truth. You keep using additional skills, it's going to stack 3 times. At 3 stacks, your non-attribute skill power is going to be 84%, increased by 84%. So almost doubling your power. This is an exciting boost. So it'd be interesting to see this on Valby, on maybe J-Bear, see what it does to J-Bear. So this is an interesting kit. We'll have to look and see how it plays out with the characters. Moving Fortress is the next one. Now, obviously from the wording Fortress, right? We're talking about somebody being a tank. We're getting a big boost to defense, 25% boost to defense. And then we're getting a firearm critical hit rate of -8% and a firearm critical hit damage of -12. So we are taking some hits to our weapon damage, but we are becoming a tank. So reducing the incoming damage modifier by 0.012. You have to see how that's going to work out in the multipliers. That might be more significant than it looks. But basically, we're getting a boost to our defense once we get to that 4-set bonus, in addition to taking those hits to the firearm critical hit rate and critical hit damage. So I don't know. I'm not excited about this one yet, but maybe I'm missing something. The next thing they talked about were some of the mods in the game that we're coming to see. They kind of go along the same themes as some of the sets. If we look at this one, Elemental Resistance Battlesuit. So this is a bit of a tanking mod. We're going to get a big boost to our defense. And some of these numbers aren't in here for these because they're still working on the English translation. But we're getting a defense boost. And then when damage is received from a particular element, let's say we have damage that we're taking from fire or damage we're taking from chill, then that damage will trigger some additional resistance against that type of damage. So if we get it, in that stack, so 3 times. So if we get fire damage and then fire damage against us and fire damage against us again, then we're going to build more and more tolerance against that fire. So that's pretty nice. I think this is going to be an interesting one to play with. In given situations, this might be very effective. The next one that we have is Veil Analyzer mod. Upon successful weak point attacks, all attribute damage plus 4.3%. All attribute ATK plus 4.3% for 5 seconds up to 10 stacks, -2 on failure. Attacking anti-void shields with a firearm deals some amount of damage. Again, the translation's not there. So this is, again, a mod that will allow us to take a weapon that's not a Voltea weapon and turn it into a Voltea weapon, right? So we're going to be able to break down those shields with any gun we want using this particular mod. It's a way around using Voltea. I'm not sure it's going to be valuable, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think having options is nice, and certainly this gives us the option to put the Voltea away and pick up something else that we might feel like is a better choice for whatever content that we're doing. So let's give that a try. Now, one of the things that they've talked about during the live stream was the Purge. They're making adjustments to the Purge again. They want to make it more, and we've seen some of those adjustments, right? They've showed us what's going to happen. They're basically making the skills stronger in the Purge. They're making it where you can use skill descendants, or you can use other descendants, and let's say you're doing the level 30, you could use Viessa because she's got chill abilities, and that would be effective in there, and you'd be able to move through there very quickly. And they've shown some gameplay of that. I think this is very interesting. Their goal here is to make all descendants viable in there and turning into more of a farming, because it is, let's face it, we're farming it, right? We're looking for cores, we're looking for weapon upgrades, and so we're going in there a lot, but we're fixed to only using a couple of descendants because there's only a few descendants who are effective right now in that higher level activity. Their goal is to make that no longer be the case, and to make all descendants capable of doing the content. Now, obviously, certain characters will have an advantage in certain levels based on the damage type that's happening there, but in general, we'll be able to see some more effective content. So what they're saying now is that they will also roll out some more difficult versions of the Purge that will require us to really dive in and do our best to hit hard in there, and that they will use that to create a new program that they're going after. And this is to give people medals for the top 100, fastest times in each season for that activity. And they're going to roll out medals for different things in the game. So the top 100 players in different content and different types of play will receive a medal. And then if you do that season after season, that medal will be upgraded each time you do it a repetitive time. It's just a way for players to recognize or be recognized for their dedication to the game, their dedication to excellence, their focus on trying to build the strongest character and the strongest weapons. This is an interesting part of the game. We'll have to see how it plays out. You'll be able to select one of these. If you've been awarded them, you'll be able to select one to showcase in your character's in-game display, so people will be able to see it when they see your name pop up. So exciting stuff. We'll have to see how it plays out. The next thing he talked about was being able to enhance the reactors. Before I get into the reactor enhancement, let's talk a little bit about the one of the things they talked about in this live stream was the fact that they have made a decision to delay the ability to upgrade our components. They felt like if they were to introduce the upgrading of the components into the game right now, that would create more problems. That would create more power creep, and that power creep would create issues with the current content. So they've decided to wait until season three and make a larger adjustment to the content, and then apply this ability to upgrade our component sets at that time. So we are going to have to wait a little bit to see what comes of that. And hopefully when they do their season 3 dev stream, they'll be able to show us a little bit about how that's going to work. But right now we have no idea how that's going to work. They did, however, talk about some of the things that they're doing with reactors, and we are getting a buff to the way we deal with our reactors. Essentially what they're saying is if we get a reactor, and let's say that reactor comes with perfect rolls, but they're blue or they're purple, they're not gold rolls, they're not ultimate rolls, they're not max ultimate rolls, and we want to do something to improve them, we will be able to take those rolls and upgrade those particular roles to be stronger. So we'll be able to pour resources into that reactor to make it stronger and stronger and to max out the benefit. So even if you've got ultimate roles, but they're not maxed, then you would be able to continue to put resources into that reactor to max out that. I think that's exciting. I think it's good. I know some people want to be able to re-roll them and things like that. That might be something that comes later. But right now, the ability to max them out, I think, is pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to being able to do that and to trying it out. We then talked about some quality of life improvements. I don't really understand this one. They're talking about void shards, and we're talking about basically, you use the void shards to, crack the reactors once you've beaten the enemy at the reactor. So I think this is interesting. They're talking about removing these completely. I don't know what that means. Is that resource gone forever, or are we going to use that resource for something else? But this is something they talked about, and we'll have to wait and see how that actually rolls out in the game. They also talked about the hard special operations. They wanted to give us an opportunity in the hard special operations to get RK factor. Obviously, if you're doing those hard special operations now, you're not getting RK experience, so I think that's kind of pushed people away from doing that as an activity. People are going more into 400% missions or going in and doing Sigma sector activities. So this is giving us another way to farm for that RK factor experience, which I think is important. In regards to the Sigma sector rewards, they are adding additional Descendant and weapon rewards to the experience, basically, to that system. So that's going to be nice. It's going to give us a little bit more reason to go in there and grind that, other than just getting RK. It would be nice if they'd up the gold a little bit as well, maybe the gold and the Kuiper. But certainly this is a good addition. Also going to give us energy control core rewards in addition as we go through that. So that's nice as well. So we're getting some more farming opportunities in this particular activity. So I'm excited about it. When crafting the same weapon, we will be able to get it at the same level. So that's what that means, I guess, is if you have a weapon, let's say you've already got a Smithereens, it's already level 4 as far as its unique ability, you've already unlocked the core, you make another one, you craft another one, that new weapon will be at that same level and will have the core unlocked, which is really nice. So if you need multiple copies of a particular weapon so that you can build them in different ways for different characters, you have that option. So that's pretty exciting. I think this is an important step in the game, and as we evolve the weapons and we evolve our build crafting for these different weapons for different characters, it's important. You might not see the value in it, but I think if you're running, let's say you're running a Haley, then you really want to lean more into critical hit damage because she can get that critical hit rate up really high. But you're not going to do that necessarily with every weapon if you're going to use it with Glay, because Glay is not going to be able to get that critical hit rate. So this is why you would see varying difficulty or varying types of builds. And Glay is not going to build into ammo quantity because she can get unlimited ammo. But then if you're playing with Serena, you want to be able to get that ammo, so you're going to spec into that. So I mean, there's just quite a bit difference of difference in the way that we build these weapons for different characters. So this allows us to have more than one and be able to make that happen. The other thing he talked about was Serena's skin. I guess Serena's getting some common skins, and with those common skins, they wanted to make sure that the wings go away so that you're not looking at wings, you're looking at whatever the skin is that they want you to be able to see, bathing suits or what have you. This means that when the wings aren't deployed, if she's not flying, then they won't be deployed, and you'll be able to see without the skin without the wings. So that's their point there. I hope they keep the wings in the specific skins that are designed for her, because I do like seeing the wings. I think that's exciting and good to see. So hopefully they leave that alone. We are getting filters in the photo mode. So the new photo mode has come out, and it's interesting, but they're adding filters. So if you want to make it an old-timey photo, or you want to do any kind of adjustments that you might do in Snapchat or on your phone, then you'd be able to do that. So this is where they're going with that. The next thing they talked about was the new player's experience in the game. Essentially trying to make it more fun and engaging and faster journey to getting to the harder content, to join the rest of us in the game. Obviously, when we first started the game, everybody was at the same place, so it wasn't as important, but now it's very, very challenging for someone to crawl their way through all of it. So they've done a lot. They're adding a new guide into the system so that people are guided through how to do certain things in the game. As they add more and more complexity with things like RK and other things, they're going to show the player how to use that and why to use it and what the benefits are. In addition to that, they've taken the main quest line and they've reduced it. They've taken some of the missions that are required out of that, and they've taken the missions that are required and reduced those in content. So the duration of timers in the game, for instance, have been reduced. The number of items that you need to collect have been reduced, just to make it go a little quicker for those players who are joining. And so I think these are good adjustments that are being made. They're adding in a web guide to show people how to use the website of the first Descendant, the website and what's on the website and what they can find there. So that's nice. One of the big additions here was getting Ultimate Bunny and putting a farming opportunity for Ultimate Bunny in the normal missions, so that in addition to being able to farm her when you get to the end and you're doing hard mode content, that you would be able to do it through the course of normal play and normal mode. So if you didn't get through the normal mode yet and you want to start that farming activity, you could. And so they've added that in there, and that's pretty good addition to the game as well. So we then talked about some of the activities that are going on in the game. Now, obviously, some of these activities are still going on now. The Beyond the Segma Sector event is still dropping, and it's if you do the login for 14 days, then you get the Ultimate Bunny skin and the Haley skins. So these are exciting to see. Get those in short order here. So it's kind of important to make those logins every day so that you get these events taken care of. There will be a new event launching on April 17th with Blair, obviously, and that new event is going to be very similar to the one that we have now, where we have a login reward and then we have daily rewards alongside of that. Obviously, the requirements for the daily things are going to be very similar. Things like play 4 missions, craft something, this kind of thing. So. But this is starting on April 17th and then goes until May 22nd. During this period as well, we have an Easter event happening where if you log in during the week, you will receive a reward, be a surprise egg emote that will drop during that period of time. So we are all looking forward to that. This is from the 17th to the 24th. So during the event period, you will be able to get that egg emote. They are dropping some new skins on the 17th as well. This new Dandy Corn. NJ is not real happy with this one, but I don't know. It's a unisex, multi-character piece of kit that you can use on anyone. So if you want to dress up like a piece of corn, then there you go. Female skins for the summer are dropping as well. So we're getting the new Albion skirts in play for all the female characters. So these are the ones that are dropping for that. And so you dive into that in the game as well when the new content releases on the 17th. We then talked extensively about what's going on in May. We talked about dynamic motion. I'm going to break here for a second and show you dynamic motion in action. Obviously, this is JIGGLE physics, so we'll take a quick little look at that and I'll come back.
네, 아직 모든 계승자와 스킨의 작업이 끝난 상태는 아니라서 오늘은 얼티밋 버니로 일단 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
We haven't developed for all the Descendants as well as the skin, so we're only going to demo it with Ultimate Bunny today.
네, 먼저 콩가 한번 재생해 볼까요? 네.
Alright, let's play Konga.
네, 이거 멀어서 잘 안 보이시죠? 네.
I think it's too far for you to see.
이렇게 해볼까요? 파링?
Sparring?
좀 더 가까이.
You might have to go a little closer.
이거 꺼버립시다.
We'll turn that off.
이게 지금 강도가 몇이에요?
강도가 지금
네.
지금은 강도 세팅이 그냥 온오프만 되어 있고요.
It's actually on and off.
네, 실제
for now.
최종 빌드에는 강도 세팅이 들어갈 예정입니다.
But in the final build, we'll have the strength option, intensity option.
네.
네, 참고로 하체도 작업하고 있는
Okay.
중입니다.
For your information, we're also working on the lower body.
네, 그러면 이왕이면 에피소드 2 주인공인 세레나도 한번 보여주시죠.
아, 네.
On that note, we could have a look at Serena, which is the heroine of episode 2.
I will not be afraid.
먼저 똑같이 스파링 모션부터 볼까요?
We'll look at the sparring motions just like before.
코믹 댄스.
Okay, comic dance.
이건 좀 그러네요.
This is a little too much.
네, 그럼 여기까지.
All right, that's it. Wrap up.
누가 자꾸 숭하다고 하셔서.
So people are kind of saying it's disgusting, so we'll wrap it up here.
여기까지만 해도 될 것 같아요. 네. 직접 보셔야. 네.
네.
Yeah. You'll have to see it
아시죠?
for
네.
yourself.
So obviously the jiggle physics is pretty comical. I think some people are gonna really like it. We'll have to see, what the community thinks about it once it comes out. In addition to this, our arcade tuning is being expanded. So we do, if you look at the arcade tuning that you have now, you'll notice that there are nodes top, bottom, left, and right. For expansion, I'm not sure when that's going to be introduced, but it does look like we're going to be getting some expansion, some level of expansion happening now. So it'd be exciting to see in May what that looks like. That is coming out then. In addition to that, we're going to get a new Void Abyss intercept boss. So the one we have now will drop out, and we will get the Ice Maiden. So it sounds like that person might be that enemy might be weak to fire. We'll have to see. Maybe Blair will be the go-to. I'm not sure. In addition to that, the hard special operations is going to rotate. It's no longer going to be the fortress, so we can stop farming in the snow. We go to Echo Swamp and Sterile Lands and enjoy that. They are introducing a party finder system. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. They didn't demo it, so hopefully they'll demo it before we get into the May update. They also are allowing, it looks like, us to view other descendants. Hopefully this is kind of like the inspection capabilities that you see in other games like the first Descendant. So I think that's a really interesting addition. And then they said there's going to be some core item changes. So I'm not sure what they're talking about there. Core weapon option, multi-hit stat option. So we'll have to see what comes on this. We're not entirely sure what the meaning of that is yet. So anyway, quite a bit of things happening in May. In addition to that, they talked about the fact that they are going to the PAX East event. They will be showing the content from season 3 in the PAX East event. So this will be nice to see. We are also going to get a look at their cosplay characters during that event. So they're going to apparently have a bunny, and I think they said a Serena, or I don't know if it was a Serena or a Valby. I think it was Serena running around at the event, so you'll be able to take pictures with them if you actually go to the event. If you do, send us photos. We'd love to see it. It's happening May 11th from 12 to 1 p.m. is their main theater is going to be happening there. If you aren't able to make the dev live stream there at the event, they will be on YouTube, obviously, and they will be broadcasting that, so you'll be able to watch it there and check it out. So feel free to do so, and let us know what you think when we get to that point. So I think these are the main things that happened during the showcase that they just showed. Hopefully this boiled it all down and then condensed it to you in a meaningful way. I, for one, feel like the devs are still doing an incredible job of, one, trying to keep us informed, of why they're making the changes. They are promising to do more of that. They are promising to do a better job of explaining what the reasons for any kind of changes are, and what the impact will be of those changes. And that's the main reason why they haven't done anything with Serena yet. They want to really look closely at it and then come back and explain what they have to do and why they have to do it. So I'm glad they're taking a very cautious approach to any nerfs. I think the nerf that they did with Inez and the buff that they did with the other characters was very meaningful and helpful for the game, and I think it will continue to help the game thrive. I know there's been some negative feedback on the changes, but ultimately, I think they're trying to do the right thing, and certainly I would hope that everyone would be patient with them while they make these adjustments in the game. At the same time, I think they are planning on giving more love to some of the characters who are further removed from the mainstream. We're talking about the Lunas, the Jabers. These characters need some attention, and they're going to work on that and try to make it more playable for people who aren't interested in the different playstyles. So we'll see what happens there. I, for one, feel like the difference in playstyles is fun sometimes, and certainly keeps things going. But I think the big challenge is we can't have descendants that are weaker than others that don't reward play. I love being able to switch over to a Valby or switch over to a Viessa, but switching over to other characters who can't damage the enemies or can't get through the content is no fun. So we want everybody to be meaningful and to be powerful and to be able to all these characters to be viable in the game. Anyway, that's about it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. We are not currently a monetized channel, so any likes, subscribes, and comments are greatly appreciated. If you'd like to support us further, you can go on in the Nexon site, because we are a Nexon creator, and you can support us there by using this creator code. This will support us greatly, so thank you again for that. If you'd like to support us even further, you could go down below, and it's one of the links below. You'll find the Humble Bundle link that will take you to some discounted games. That discount will be applied. We will get credit for the sale, but we don't affect the price of any of those games when you do that. Otherwise, thank you again for watching, and we will see you in the next one.